Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. This is tier number 1, the top tier in the Equal Performance. And we are live for what will be round number 3 of the championship here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. Normally a good track for sim racing. Tend to get a few little barrels, a few cheeky moves, and obviously the all-important turn 1 being a major hotspot for overtaking with the DRS assistance, shall we say. But let's get everything set up. We have 12 in tonight. We have Ryan in the Kick Sauber, Young Sav in the McLaren, Got Spooked in the Red Bull Sydney, is in the RBV Carb, Scopefielder, who raced last night as a reserve, he's in the Alpine tonight. JP911 returns to the series, he's in the McLaren. Louis in the Ferrari, JL Lattis in the Haas, Merckx in the Mercedes. The two teammates, they're going to be scoring hefty points tonight as a team. Gattuso is in the Ferrari, he's a reserve driver. Ivan Belov in the Aston Martin, and Kedda in the Williams. So let's have a look. We've got Sydney out at the moment. Just adjust the... Just that. I think it might need to go... So there is Sydney in the RB. Welcome to anyone who has just joined. I've just heard my co-commentator. Obviously, my name is JPH, and my co-commentator Bruce is just joined us. But we'll go on board with Sydney first for a lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. Down the main straight, DRS wide open. He's using a bit of overtake as well. Break around just before the 50-metre board, down to third for Sydney, up to fourth as you then sweep left and then go into this long flat turn 3. You can keep it as tight as you want, or you can let it drift wide as Sydney has done. Turn 4, there it's around the 50-metre mark, just let it almost coast into the corner and pick the throttle up as early as you can. Down the hill, braking into turn number 5, awkward apex to get right, be careful to not run wide. It will give you a track limits. Flat through 6, 7, 8, one of the most difficult corners on the circuit. Just missing the apex a little bit there through 7 with Sydney. 9 is flat in qualifying with the low fuel. Blind right-hander. Then turn 10 after DRS. This one's going to be a bit of a corner to watch. It's a very slippy corner, easy to spin the car. Turn 11. Again, you're just letting it coast through and picking up the throttle as early as you can, trying not to spin the car. 12, absolutely flat. 13 in qualifying should be flat. Slight lift from Sydney to get the front end to bite. Across the finish line, it's a 1 minute 13.1 for Sydney to open up the qualifying count. As I say, we do have Bruce in the commentary box with us, so good evening, Bruce. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, JPH. Yeah, all good, thank you very much. Catalunya, obviously, home of the Spanish Grand Prix. Louis there, quickly setting a 1:12.3. Yeah, normally provides quite a good race. The DRS is quite important, right? You don't want to end up out of that train come the race. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everyone goes tonight. We've got Keza and Scopefielder, who were both racing T2 last night as reserves tonight. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go with a little bit of experience from the previous night's efforts.
Keza going second provisionally at the moment. Got spooked across the line, a 1:12.303. Not much quicker than Louis, so it's good to see the pace there from Louis in that Ferrari. There's JP now coming up to the line. He'll put himself into third at 1:12.6. It's going to be the Haas of Lattis. He'll cross the line, and I think he either invalidated or is starting a lap. Merckx, as expected, a 1:11.9, top of the pile. Young Sav in the McLaren, currently in 5th. And Gattuso, who we used to race a season or so ago, he's in Tier 1 this season as reserve. He's just gone 4th quickest in the Ferrari.
Yeah, great effort there from Gattuso, as you say. Yeah, really, really good stuff. I'm promising for the Ferrari's team so far. Although I believe Gattuso's a reserve, but still good to see the prancing horse up there, third and fourth at the moment as it stands.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of teams, Mercedes are laughing tonight. They've got both their drivers here, Merckx and JP, and both of them have race-winning potential.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you'd have to say probably on paper the strongest team in the league. Obviously, we all know Merck's going to be up there pretty regular. Big slide there for Ivan on his flying lap. But yeah, it's JP will complement Merck's skills quite nicely, I think. And when they're both here and other teams don't have a full complement of drivers, I think it's inevitable they're going to take home some pretty good points. But yeah, Lads there up to pole, original pole with 1:11.8.
Yeah, so Merck's got company up the top there. The question is, can Ivan join them? We know how quick Ivan can be. Just needs to string this lap together in the Aston Martin. He was in the prancing horse last season, so a change of engine supplier for his car, and it's only 11th quickest for now. But I kind of get the sense he's fueled up for 2 laps here.
Yeah, quite possibly. He still has rather. Oh, that's quite deep there, and that's we're off at turn 1 there for Ivan. But yeah, he did make a mistake mid lap, which would account probably for at least half a second, I'd have thought, of that time. So yeah, plenty of wiggle room, I think, now for Ivan to improve when he goes back out. It'd be interesting to see what he does now. Obviously, he's skipped through turn 1. He's lost that lap now, technically. He's not invalidated, but he won't be continuing, I wouldn't have thought, any real pace here. I suppose now he's not got enough fuel for another one, so he'll be coming in the pits and having another go shortly.
It's interesting. I think both the Mercedes drivers have gone for a second flying lap on this set of tyres. It's something that we've seen with this game, is a second flying lap can be quicker than the first one, and JP proves that. He goes about 3/10 quicker, I think that was, and puts himself into third, Merckx into the pits instead.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, it is an option. I've not seen too many people try it, but it does seem to work. At worst, it's at worst it's no worse than your first lap on those tyres. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see as the season develops whether it's a tactic people use more in qualifying or not.
I'm trying to work out with Ivan whether he's just had a monumental moment coming through the last couple of corners. I'm pretty certain he was heading for the pits, and he's gone back round again. Which is not a bit telemetry. He's in hot lap, so he is going for another lap.
Yeah, he does appear, from what I can see on the wheel, he does appear to have enough fuel, but yeah, I'm saying he's down to 1.2 in sector 1. On my screen, so
I don't think he had a good start to that, because from what I could see, he looked like he was going into the pit lane. It's almost like he changed his mind last minute. And to be honest, if you're not absolutely flat through that last corner on the start of your lap, you're going to lose heaps of time just down that main straight, and you're going to have to feel this is a bit of a waste of time here for Ivan. He's going to waste a good minute and a bit because he's going to be coming back in the pits in his lap anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we know Ivan has not. I think is this his first race of the season? Actually, isn't it? I believe so. Yeah. He's not maybe had the time on the game he wanted. Sydney improves to 8th place with a 1:12.7. He's not really had the experience maybe recently as some of the others. So maybe it's a chance, even though he's not going to be setting competitive lap times. It's just a chance for him to maybe get used to the game a bit more. Try and find out a little bit more about it, so come the race he's perhaps a little bit more comfortable.
Well, Scope Fielder is on his latest attempt in qualifying. He's 6.5 tenths up at the moment, so that's going to put him probably around Gattuso Louis area at present. He's still got another sector to go, so finding improvement all of the time. Through the last corner for the Alpine, what's it going to be? It's a 1:12.4, so just ahead of Gattuso, but right in the mix, that mid-pack.
Yes, good effort from Scopefielder. As you say, he finished on the podium as Keza has left the session as he hits the pit lane, so a bit of a strange one there. Yeah, Scopefielder finished on the podium, I believe, last night in Tier 2. So, yeah, carrying on that fine form, and I think he'd be delighted at the moment to be mid-pack in his Tier 1. You know, he's been away for a while from what I'm aware of, and yeah, I think the more he gets back into driving the F1 games, he'll improve, and I can see him being a bit of a force at the front, potentially by the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. As Gattuso is on his second flying lap of the session. Up towards turn 4 we go, and there's a little bit of interesting line sweeping back across into that racing line before heading into 4. And tricky corner down into 5. Just that downhill braking just pushes the car forward, and it can be quite hard to hit the apex. I'd say that's pretty not. I mean, well, if I'm driving, that's the line I'd have been taking, which is what Ivan was on, but it hasn't hindered Gattuso. So we head through 9 over the crest and into the next DRS zone.
Yeah, so pretty even with his previous best lap at the moment for Gattuso. He's he's 200 down on his previous best, so maybe not going to improve massively, but I think we're at that stage where a couple of tenths will make a difference.
And this is what we found out last night, wasn't it? Is that the times in qualifying are so close. A couple of tenths can mean the difference of 3, 4, 5 places on the grid.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw. I'm not quite sure how it's going to pan out tonight here, but we saw last night. I believe the top 12 or so were covered by about 0.6 of a second last night. So, yeah, incredibly close stuff, and especially in the mid pack here in Tier 1, we often find that it's very little splits to cruise the drivers.
And I get the sense that the Mercedes are only going to do 2 sort of stints in qualifying. Someone's on the grass through 7 and 8. But Merc and JP in the pits, I get the sense they're going to come out and do another double run on another set of softs and save a set of softs for the race, which could prove quite important for the race itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the advantage of them having set such good lap times early on, is as last improved to 1:11.5. So definitely throwing it down a little bit hard here for Merckx and JP to chase. Got spooked and Louis, really. They're all in the hunt, as well as young Sav. So incredibly close. Any one of them could potentially get up to the front row. But yeah, I think if you can set that early lap time, it gives you the option to only do the 2 runs. And as you say, save that set of softs, and who knows, with potential safety cars, it could come in incredibly handy. We know the tyre wear is quite high on the softs here, but I think towards the end of the race you can get away with it a lot more than the start of the race.
Yeah, absolutely, that fuel load decreasing near the end. Interesting though, Ryan down in 12th at the moment. You'd probably pick him as one of the people you'd expect to be a little bit quicker, but again, could just be experience of the game. Because being a new game, everyone's still getting used to this sort of new physics model. I think the 3rd year in a row now that the F1 Game Series has had a different physics model implemented.
Yeah, it definitely drives slightly different to last year. The front end definitely a little bit more sort of perky, but you tend to find it can induce understeer if you attack it a bit too much. So it's quite a fine line. A little bit different to last year's game where it was quite progressive. Sydney up to 3rd place with that lap time. That's a great effort from the Racing Bull driver.
Yeah, the RB up into 3rd place for now. We do have JP on an outlap, along with Louis on an outlap. Gattuso, I believe, has just left the pits. So we're now starting to see drivers coming out for their final run. Let's go on board a JP for a lap then. Let's see how the Irishman is taking this course. Down the main straight, a bit of overtake use, obviously, with the new ERS system that good old Mark tells everyone about every time they leave the pits in qualifying. But through 1, 2 into 3, and it all looks pretty bolted, and staying to the inside cutting out the distance around this circuit, can gain you quite a bit of time by doing that. 3-4 downhill into 5. Front end just looked a little bit lazy into 5 there. Just didn't quite want to turn into the apex. 7 and 8, bit of curve, get the rotation. Using as much curve as he dares through 8. 9 is absolutely flat, not touching, but he does run a bit wide. And that is the end of that lap. And I think he's going to have a cool down and go again. Or I don't actually know if he's got enough fuel to do that.
Yeah, it looks tight, doesn't it? He's going to he'll be pushing it on the last lap, but it is possible. Louis, 3 tenths up at the first sector on his previous best time. Very tidy lap so far from the Ferrari driver. Still 3 tenths up at the second split, so big slide there though, and as you said before, that's one of those corners, it's so easy to get on the throttle a little bit too early. I feel he's lost his rhythm a little bit here now, and I think those 3 tenths could have dissipated pretty quickly, and into the pits he comes, and I think that's going to be Louis' qualifying done. I'm
surprised he didn't carry on. It looks like he's got probably enough fuel that he can coast around and go again right at the end, so I'm surprised that he hasn't decided to continue on there and just try to then get another lap sorted, because he's definitely, with the animation going back into the garage, he's definitely not going to have another chance here as Gattuso coming through the last couple of corners. What can he achieve on this, the final, well, he suggested, I think it's his final attempt, 2 tenths quicker, up to 6th place.
Yeah, so, excellent work there from Gattuso. Pretty much matching his teammate, and well, ever so slightly beating his teammate. So, yeah, great effort there from the Ferrari driver.
Ryan is going on to his final lap of the session in the very bright Kick Sauber car. See what he can achieve. He's down in 12th and last at the moment. We know Ryan's pace. We know he is quicker than that. It's just whether he can string the lap together.
Absolutely, 2 tenths up at his first split. That's obviously an improvement already if he can hold that to the end of the lap.
A little bit twitchy out of 5 as he now head through 6, 7 and 8. Back end just looks like it's moving around a little bit, and I'd say it's probably not going to be the most confident car to drive if he's getting that now on this sort of fuel load.
Absolutely. Gattuso, actually, out of interest, he has actually got enough fuel for another lap, and he is pretty much fully charged, and he's going to have another go on these slightly used tyres, but as we said before, you may find the performance difference isn't that bad.
Yeah, as Ryan comes through the final corner, what can he achieve? It's a 112.7. He loses time in that last sector, but up to 10th for now. JP stays in 4th. Young Sav has come into the pits. We have Scopefielder, who's just down on his current time. He heads through the final couple of corners. The Alpine looking to go better than 9th. Does so, goes into 6th, but he only improved by 0.087, so that just shows you that small amount of time, and that's 3-4 positions there for Scopefielder.
Yeah, exactly, and Gattuso is slightly up on his previous best as well, even on these used tyres. It'd be interesting to see where he is at the second split. He's nearly 2 tenths quicker, and you know that could easily jump him at the moment. If he can hold this, jump him to the top 4. Potentially up to 3rd as it stands. I'm not sure how Merck's getting on his lap at the moment as he reigns the penultimate corner.
Merck 3 tenths up, got spooked, obviously got up into 2nd place as well with his final lap. Gattuso up to 5th. Merck takes pole position for now. Sydney not on a good lap. I think that's going to be everyone. Ryan into the pits. That's the end of qualifying, and right at the death once again. Merck has taken another pole position here in Tier 1, but it's not by a lot. JR Lattis gave him a very good run for his money there, leading the session right until the dying seconds.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, honourable mention to Got Spooked. I mean, he's less than 2 tenths off the pole time as well. So, yeah, the trio at the front there really setting some incredibly competitive times, and I'm pretty sure they'll be on each other for the majority of the race. As you say, Merck, he's had some not necessarily easy races in the past, but he may have his hands full a little bit tonight potentially.
Yeah, he's got a Haas and a Red Bull to deal with tonight, and to be fair, sometimes qualifying times don't really matter, because if you set the car up for the high fuel at the start of the race, you could still keep up with Merckx if his setup's more based around lower fuel settings. But Bruce, would you like to take us through the starting grid for the Spanish Grand Prix?
Absolutely. So yeah, Merckx in the Mercedes carrying on his excellent form of recent times with a pole position ahead of J.R. Latta, setting an excellent time to join him on the front row. Gottspoot third with Sydney fourth. Gattuso an excellent fifth with JP, Merck's teammate there, in sixth. Scopefielder seventh with Louis eighth. Youngstaff ninth, Ivan Bella 10th. And Ryan 11th, and Keza rounding out the grid in 12th.
What's good to see is the top 5 all in different cars. I mean, that's what Eco Performance is about. Obviously, no car has an advantage or disadvantage, so it's good to see that the Eco Performance is working well here, with those 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 grid slots.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it more colourful, if nothing else, doesn't it? Having different cars to look at the front. And yeah, as you say, the Eco Performance, it doesn't matter what car you're in, you're all pretty much in the same boat. And yeah, really, it can just be maybe the slightest differences in setup that can make the difference. But yeah, it's what it's all about, is keeping it as close as possible, really, and it definitely does a good job of that.
So yeah, it's good to see the return after Singapore here in Tier 1, a return back to standard qualifying and a full race distance. It's good to see, obviously, with 12 drivers in, and it's looking like it's going to get more and more as the weeks go on, which would be fantastic to see.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we like to see full grids. We've been doing pretty well in Tier 2. I think we've had probably the lowest, maybe is about 17, isn't it? I think so far. So yeah, hopefully, as you say, as the weeks progress, more people become available. Obviously, for numerous reasons, people aren't able to race straight away this season. But we have the driver list is there to have a full grid, but unfortunately, it's just getting everyone available at the same time. But yeah, fingers crossed, the grid will improve. And the racing's still been good. Even last week with a small grid around Singapore, the racing was still of an excellent quality. So even though the small numbers aren't great, it hasn't deterred from the quality. Fingers crossed, as you say, get some more people in, and we'll have a few more battles to look at further down the field as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, we haven't had a chance today to go through the standings for Tier 1. We'll do that next week after the Spanish Grand Prix. But I mean, ultimately, the biggest thing now for these 12 drivers is to finish, because the top 12 scored points. So these guys just have to finish to get some points in Tier 1. Retirement means no points at all, and no one likes that, as everyone gets ready for the formation lap. We can prepare ourselves for the chaos and action that's going to ensue once those lights go out.
Hopefully, I mean, whilst we like a bit of action, we don't want too much chaos. Interestingly, looking at the tyre graphic, we've got mediums on the front row, got spooks on softs, a couple of mediums, hards, medium, a couple of hards, soft, hards, medium. So there's a pretty interesting spread of tyres down throughout the grid. So we found probably last night, at least with the setups we were running, that the hard tyres were probably not the nicest things to drive on around this circuit. But yeah, a few guys giving it a go, and it may pay off later towards the race when they're on the rather nice mediums. So I feel we're probably, in my opinion, the best race tyre for this circuit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing we have to bear in mind last night, I think we had quite overcasty conditions as well. It looks a bit sunnier tonight, which may help those hard tyres. I just wonder whether last night with the hards, it maybe just didn't quite heat up in the same way, or keep the temperature because of those overcast sort of conditions. But only time will tell in this race when we see how the hard runners go. Keza and JP have been disqualified from the formation lap, That normally means they've hit someone. So that's a good start for those two.
They definitely haven't hit each other because they're 6 cars apart from each other, or at least they shouldn't have done. Anything's possible, I suppose. But yeah, they will still obviously take part in the race. They haven't been banished from Spain forever, and they will take their place on the grid.
The biggest downside for them now is in their grid slot. Obviously, everyone drives up to their grid slot and they try to get into this purple zone. As a Louis goes round trying to reach his grid spot. The likes of JP and Keza will be in a position where if you miss your grid mark, it actually puts you back a little bit in your grid slot, so you're actually at a slight disadvantage. And even going round Keza, even though he could probably just go through him, gives him a bit of an awkward angle. But we are looking at the back of the grid as we have the 5 red lights. We are green for the Spanish Grand Prix, and who's got the best getaway? I can't tell because we're at the back of the grid. It looks like Merck's got away nicely. Got spooked up a position over the last. Obviously on those soft tyres, he's going to have the grip. Down towards turn 1. Can he make a move on Merck's? Yes, he can. Slight bit of contact, but they're going to get through cleanly by the looks of it. We got 12 cars in, 12 cars out of the first couple of corners. Ivan and JP. JP's had a mare of a start on those hard tyres. He's down into 9th. Down towards turn 4 for the first time. We still got cars jostling for position. Ivan down the inside of JP, gets that move finally done, and it looks like young Sav trying to get past Scope Fielder whilst Ryan gets past Louis in the background. Side by side through 5, the Alpine trying to claim the position off the McLaren. And not going to go side by side through 7, 8. Wise choice as he has a big tank slapper from Scope Fielder and causes a bit of bunching behind, but everyone still survives. Ryan up into 9th now past JP, so he's had a good start on his hard compound tyres, and we look like we might start to get a little bit of calm. As I say that, JP throws one down the inside of the Sauberg. It almost collects him. Big tank slapper almost wipes out Keza. Keza somehow gets through, and the Ferrari of Louis now looking to the inside of JP. That Mercedes is not a happy car on those tyres.
No, it's snapping left, right and centre. As we said, the hard tyres, maybe not a great race start, especially on lap 1. Young Sal on the hard tyres himself managing to hold 6th at the moment, but yeah, everyone else on the hard really struggling. JP had to back out of it slightly.
Ivan down the inside, contact between him and Schofield. Schofield's round, as is Ivan, and collision with Ryan. That's a piece of broken wing for the Sauber. I think there's a broken wing for the Aston Martin. I think they've all walked away with damage. Ivan looking to go down the inside of Scopefielder. Bit of a collision which caused Ivan to sort of lose control of the back end, then recollected the Alpine, and Ryan unfortunately arrived on the scene as an innocent bystander, but I think he's actually come out the worst in this because he's lost quite a lot of the main plane of his front wing, whereas Ivan and Scope have only lost end plates.
Yeah, as you say though, I think it's enough damage for all 3 to potentially have to pit here to get the damage fixed. So yeah, a bit of a shame there that's happened. Yeah, I just caught the end of that myself. I didn't quite catch the whole part, but yeah, big shame there for the guys now at the back of the field.
And that's a disaster really for Ryan, because that's going to put him on a two-stop strategy, because he can't even put another set of hard compound tyres to try and do a wonder stint to the end, because he started on those hard tyres. So that's really not worked out for him.
No, really, Ivan and Scopefield have actually continued on in the race. So the one person who was kind of the main innocent bystander in that is the only one who's actually had to come in and pit, which is a big shame for Ryan. And as you say now, he's going to be forced to go mediums potentially to get to the end of this race.
As I say, Ryan had main plane damage. Basically, I mean, that would have been effectively a red wing on the front, on the left-hand side frame, whereas I think Scopefielder and Ivan have probably only walked away with minor yellow damage with just the end plate gone. Whilst it will affect them, it doesn't quite affect them as badly as what Ryan had for definite. So Ryan hoping for a safety car really to close this back up and sort of get back on strategy with everyone.
Yeah, definitely. He is going to be praying for one, isn't he, from this point onwards? I mean, all he can do really now is just keep pumping in some laps and hope that once everyone else pits, he's somewhere close to them if he doesn't get that safety car. But yeah, a bit of a disaster. As JL after sets now, the fastest lap of the race. DRS for Merckx on Got Spook. We're going to run out of space, I think, to get that move done. And what it does do is it enables Lattice to catch up to the back of both of them. And, well, Merck's actually looking around the outside, potentially, here. Got spooked.
Yeah, it's interesting. Got spooked. I mean, he made the advantage at the start work by getting the first place, but now he's in a bit of trouble because he didn't get away from Merck. You have to, if you're going to do it, you've got to get away from Merck straight away. Get him out of that DRS zone. But now Merck is finding he's got a Mercedes and a Haas behind him who are really starting to hound him and pressurise him for the lead of this race. Through turn 9 they go into the next DRS zone. Gattuso is in the wall, and Sydney's in the grab. Oh my word, that is not a good rejoin from Gattuso. He has completely wiped someone out. I think that's a first for me. Someone getting a drive-through penalty for a severe collision on a F1 game. That was with Keza, and I'm hoping that Keza didn't get any rear damage from that or bodywork and got spooked in the gravel at the last corner. What is going on at the Spanish Grand Prix? All they have to do is get to the end as JR Lattis gets past Merck for the lead of this race. It's all going on. We were saying before, all they have to do is get to the end, but this is 5 laps of pure chaos here at the Circuit de Barcelona.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. All kicking off Gattuso in the pits now to repair that damage. Oh, he's retired from the session, so yeah, bit of a surprise there from the Ferrari. Maybe feeling that with his drive-through penalty as well, he's kind of out of the race. But as you say, if you just finish the race, you get points. So obviously feeling that the 1 point is not worth the effort to continue. But yeah, big shame there. We've lost Gattuso out of the race. But yeah, again, that tricky set of corners there that he's lost the car on, it can catch you out very, very easily.
Yep, so yeah, I think Gattuso's in the chat. Mitchell Pengali saying sorry to Keza. Yeah, it definitely would have carried on because you just never know. As we saw with Tier 2 last night, you just never know what might happen. As we have Merck right on the back of the Haas. This is for the lead of the race. And it looks like Merck DRS assistance. You just know JR Lattis is not going to fight this hard. It'd be a waste of energy, a waste of tyre wear. These two can basically leapfrog each other and then just use the last sort of 2-3 laps to decide who wins this race.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, no real need to push each other too hard just yet. It'll be a case now of saving the engine, especially with Gottspeak now back by 4.5 seconds after that mistake at the final corner. The one thing I would say as well is obviously got spooked on those soft tyres. We were seeing people last night start on soft tyres but ditching them pretty quick because they weren't holding on very well at the start of the race. So I know for people that had a spare set of softs at the start, it was suggesting a soft medium strategy, but I think a lot of people were abandoning that pretty quickly. So it'd be interesting to see whether Gottspeak continues on with these soft tyres or comes in and tries something different, maybe to see if he can undercut the guys in front a little bit to get a bit closer.
So apparently Gattuso saying that he took avoiding action from someone in front of him, causing him to go into the grass, and due to the contact with Keza, he had extensive rear wing damage, hence the retirement. However, I still feel to some degree, even with the damage, I mean, you still get a point for just poodling around, even if you're 5-6 laps down. You still poodle around, get a point. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in terms of this sort of championship, a point can be quite a big difference in the championship. But we go back to the lead of the race because JR Lattis still putting the pressure on the Mercedes of Merck, and they are very rapidly dropping Got Spooked here. So Got Spooked is going to have to do something quickly if he wants any sort of chance to get back with him, because 5 seconds is a very big undercut he's going to have to do.
Yeah, as you say, he needs to make a decision quick before it's too late. A nice battle developing between Ivan and Keza. I'm not sure, obviously, what the damage status is on Keza after that incident with Gattuso, and Ivan suffering with a bit of front wing missing. So, yeah, a bit of a surprise. I believe they're both really not that far off Scope Fielder either, who I believe is still driving around with damage. So, yeah, a little bit of wounded cars going around at the back of the field at the moment, but still continue. Oh, big slide from Sydney there as well, as I was catching him there towards the end of the lap. So yeah, this circuit's still trying to catch the cars out, and I think it's only going to get trickier as the tyre wear progresses.
Meanwhile, Lattis goes to the front of the field. DRS assistance down that main straight. We said it was a hot spot for overtaking, and it's definitely proving that way as we head into 5. You just get the sense that Lattis's car is, especially in turn 5, is just pushing quite a lot on that front end. You just get the sense Merc's able to attack the apex a little bit more than what that Haas is doing. Whether that's setup related or tyre wear related, it'd be interesting, although that would be a warning for JR Lattis through turn 9, just a little bit wide on exit.
Yeah, we've seen it before with Merc racing, following cars. He's been incredibly patient before he makes the move, but you feel tonight, he feels maybe that the body language of the car maybe suggesting that he's a little bit more worried tonight about the pace of the Haas driver. He's a bit more keen to get the moves done this time as Keza gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Yeah, Merc, as he makes the move now into the lead once again, you feel he's maybe just a little bit more concerned than he would normally be about the pace of his nearest rival.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen JR Lattis for a while in IRL, I think. Or possibly could be his debut in IRL. But it's certainly sort of refreshing to see this Merc being really pushed. I mean, as Ivan overtakes Keza down into turn 1. Yeah, it's quite different because normally, to some degree, Merc you spend 5 laps with someone battling Merc, and then all of a sudden he builds up that gap and he's out of DRS and he's gone. Whereas this time he just cannot break the DRS to Lattis, and he's constantly looking in his mirrors at the moment for the first 9 laps of this race.
Yeah, definitely. He's not being granted that moment's peace almost to develop a lead at all. So yeah, it's definitely going to be well pushed, I think, for the remainder of this race. Keza all over the back of Ivan now after Ivan got the move done into turn 1. Keza may sit behind the air. Smart stuff from Keza there. The problem with that DRS zone is it's easy to get past them there, but then you're a sitting duck then at the on the main straight. So I think Keza will now.
Speaking of the main straight, here comes Louis to get past Young Sav. He's quietly made his way up into 4th place in this race. The prancing horse into the top 4, and Young Sav a little bit all over the shop through turn 1. He's just got a wash of understeer as obviously Louis came across, taking the line as you would normally after the overtake. So just a wash of understeer just hitting that McLaren on those hard tyres.
Yeah, Keza didn't get past Ivan there on the pit straight. He ran wide out the final corner and lost a bit of time getting back on track. So once again, he's all over the Aston Martin of Ivan, but yeah, unable to do anything about it just yet.
Biggest movers of this race so far, Louis and Young Sav, both up 4 positions at the moment, 4th and 5th, starting 8th and 9th respectively. Got spooked into the pits. Now, we did see the mediums did go around 20-ish laps last night. What does Spook do? He's gone for the hard compound tyre. He's played it safe.
Yeah, interesting move. I think he's gonna have a tyre advantage as long as he can tame these tyres. They were better under lighter fuel load than they were at the start of the race, naturally, obviously. But yeah, the only thing now for Godspeed, he has come out in a little bit of traffic potentially, with Scopefielder and Sydney just in front of him.
Keza overtaking Ivan once again into turn 1, DRS assisted. That battle is taking them away from Scopefielder, so Scopefielder getting a nice bit of relaxation as he's trying to attack Sydney at the moment. 6/10 the gap between those two. Meanwhile, Louis keeping Young Sav at bay. We've got about 3 or 4 different little battles going on here, as there's Sydney and Scopefielder, the RB and the Alpine. Meanwhile, back on the main straight, half a second the gap. I think that's a little bit too much because you get the feeling JL Lattis just trying to save a little bit of ERS maybe because it's really easy to do so in the slipstream round here.
Yeah, definitely. If he can keep closing up to the back of Merc like that without using any ERS, then he's going to be in a very, very good position come the end of the race. The only thing that could make this interesting now is who blinks first, really, with the pit stops. Who's going to go for it? Interestingly as well, Ryan, after that bit of a nightmare getting involved in that incident that was obviously no fault of his own, he's actually taken a fair chunk of time now at the guys in front. And I think he could potentially... he's definitely going to jump Ivan and Keza when they pit. So he'll be back up into some good points positions, I think, Ryan, once this all plays out. Obviously, he's probably going to have to pit again. But if he can keep going at this rate, I think he might still be able to make something out of this race.
You feel with Ryan, if he can just get another maybe 6-7 seconds to the good here, he may have a chance at the end of the race to close in an attack on Ivan. And the first one to blink is Merc. He's in the pits. So Merc looking to... I get the feeling that is the do the undercut or be undercut sort of strategy from Merc. On go the hard compound tyres to the end of this race.
Yeah, I think Merc's going to come out. He's definitely going to come out behind Louis Young Sav. He won't have any issues coming out if he comes out behind JP, because JP's his teammate. I'm sure he'll let him past if he does indeed come out in front, which he might just about do. So yeah, you think JP will let him pass pretty quick. It's just whether or not there's a little bit of traffic in front with Young Sav and Louis, because they're going to stay out for a bit longer on those hards, I should imagine. Whether or not that delays Merc enough that JR Lassus can actually take advantage of it.
Yeah, Scopefielder has finally got past Sydney down to turn 1. And you see Gotspook just behind. You see how much time he's lost, really. I mean, he's now about 7 seconds behind Merc. As Ryan has got past Ivan after Ivan's pit stop. I also get the sense that Ivan did he change that front wing?
Yes, I believe so. So yeah, Ivan now has a full complement of front end on that Aston Martin. But yeah, you see, Ryan there, he's probably taken... That's probably about
Gotspook down the inside at turn 10. Collision with Sydney. Scopefield also round wide, and Gotspook's going to get up into 6th place after that. There's a slight lunge and a small tap of wheels. I mean, it wasn't anything malicious. But Gotspook showing his intent that he has to get on with it here if he's got any chance of trying to catch up to the top 2 of this race. But Scopefielder, once again, finding himself issues in that turn 10 corner. He had similar issues in the race last night, so not ideal for him. And obviously Merc is now past JP as per the plan from Mercedes. Merc's 3 seconds now behind Young Sav and Louis. He'll catch them up pretty quick, but like I say, it's just how quickly he can actually get past them. I think you're probably looking about a 22-23 second pit stop from start to finish here, I reckon. So at the moment Merc is going to get past Lattis, but obviously, as I say, when he catches these two, he gets delayed for any moment, sort of only a few seconds delay behind these. It could bring JR Lattis back out in front and with a better set of tyres. Yep, Scopefielder looking to keep hold of 7th at the moment. I mean, it makes you wonder, what is Lattis' strategy here? Is he going to try and pull a medium to soft strategy here? Because if he does that, he'll be 2 compounds softer as Sydney comes into the pit lane. If he manages to do that, he'll be 2 compounds softer than Merc. So he will be mighty quick at the end of this race, but it's whether he can get the tyres to last that long.
Yeah, you'd have to think he'd probably want to drag it out to maybe 22, 23 on the mediums if he was going to go that route. As you say, then he'll have a massive pace advantage. It's just obviously when he catches it, if he does that, he's going to be behind Merc coming out the pits, but he then obviously would have to use that tyre advantage to catch him. But then when he does catch him, what will the tyre offset be at that point? Will Merc actually technically still have better tyres? even though he will be on those softs. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see exactly what he does. He's carried on for another lap here, so it's definitely looking like he may be edging towards that soft compound.
I mean, the one thing we definitely know at the moment is if there was a safety car to come out now, the likes of Merckx and Spook to be in probably the best position compared to the Lattice, because they've now used the hard tyre. They can bolt a set of mediums and be safe to the end of this race now.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I guess if a safety car came out now, though, I think it would give the Lattice the opportunity to switch to the softs anyway and give it a go. I don't think he'd really be losing too much on it by the time the safety car actually was to come in. But yeah, at the moment we've had at least 10 laps now without really that much incident, so yeah, we must be due something soon.
Yep, if you have just joined, we had 5 laps of utter chaos. In fact, actually it was more like 2 laps of chaos, just action everywhere. And since then it's all calmed down a little bit. We've had some pit stops. We're waiting for the leader of JR Lattice to come in. Louis doing a fine job here keeping Young Sav behind, and I think Merckx could find himself in a bit of a pickle here, trying to get past these 2 drivers, because obviously Young Sav's going to have DRS on Louis, but he's not yet been able to overtake Louis. So this could cause Merckx a little bit of issue.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be interesting to see. I think Merckx is going to get Young Sav, but then Young Sav gets his DRS open and sits in behind Louis to get the slipstream. Here he goes. He gets past Louis, as does Merckx. But Merckx going to be still stuck behind the McLaren driver.
Oh, he looks up the inside, looks for a switchback round the outside of turn 3. This would be a good move, but it's not quite going to pay off. But he should have a good run down towards 4. Still looking to the outside. Side by side through 4, and Merckx able to open up the steering wheel, get the throttle on earlier, and that's a beautiful move from the Mercedes. Young Sav not giving this up, and he's going to have DRS at a bit of a slide from Merckx. Big tyre differential in 12 laps of tyre age. Oh, and Sav did not get the corner of 7 and 8 right at all. Had a huge lift. Oh, big snap, and he's going to get a 3-second penalty for the grief.
Yeah, big slides for Sav. Really good save, to be fair to him. Quite unlucky to pick up the track limits for it as well. You know, he didn't really have much choice but to run wide after that one. But interestingly, he's still just inside DRS. Or I think he's just dropped outside. I think the detection line is down here. So yeah, I don't know whether Sav's going to have DRS. He has got DRS on Merckx. So help him defend from Louis if nothing else. But yeah, I think Merckx is now clear. We've got a yellow flag, and that is Lattice.
What has happened here? I think he's been running on the curb and it snapped the car.
I think every chance that's the possibility. I'm trying to see if he's got any.
Look at the wing damage. Big wing damage on the left, on the left plane. That's going to have to be an immediate pit stop and a wing change, and this is going to bring Spooked back in for 2nd place.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, disaster for Lattice. He's been flying all race, but maybe just pushing that extra bit hard to try and gap enough to give himself a chance against Merckx later. And unfortunately, it's come back to bite him pretty hard. I think he's still in a good, a position to still get a good result out of this race, just because of how good his first stint's been. But yeah, I'm interested to see what he does now. I think he might.
Oh, look at Sav trying to get up the inside of 11. That's not a place you normally overtake. He needs to be patient as the McLaren. Oh, and he's not. That's a huge. How? I'm not quite sure how Young Sav has not retired there. But he looks. Oh no, he's not stuck. He needs to be careful here not to get disqualified.
Got spooked.
Oh, and he's back round.
Yeah. Safety car is out.
No front wing from the McLaren, and that safety car has helped Lattice because he's now on the soft tyre, and that must be the reason why Got Spooked has gone in on for a set of mediums. And I don't understand why Young Sav has retired. We've got a safety car here. He could have joined up to the pack with a new set of tyres and get some points.
Yes, definitely. I think he would still have been well in this race, I think. But there we go. I mean, this is obviously the safety cars that the likes of Ryan, Ivan, and Keza have been looking for after their instance earlier in the race as well. So you've probably got about 4 or 5 drivers here that are quite happy about the safety car, and you'd have to think now that we're going to see Merc, Louis, and JP all in the pits for their mediums, maybe even softs to the end of the race. I think that Louis and JP are going to come out second and third and stay ahead of Lattice after their pit stops.
Yes, yeah, because Lattice will be under Delta at the moment, because the leader is not up with the safety car, and Merc has come into the pits as expected. The question is, will it be mediums or will it be softs? It's the medium tyre for the Mercedes, so we're going to have a compound difference between Merc and Lattice, and that's a pretty good effort from the Mercedes to double stack. JP not really getting affected, but he goes mediums, as does Louis. What is Lattice is going to stay out, and he's going to give these softs a try. I'm just not sure they're going to, as Sydney picks up 3 seconds of time penalty under the safety car. Through turn 9, not really necessary.
Not ideal for Sydney. Sometimes a little relief though, weirdly enough, because he'd have been sat on 2 warnings for a while. Now he's got that one out of the way, even though he's got the 3 second penalty, he can probably push on a little bit harder now. So yeah, strange one. Scopefielder coming back in the pits. What's he going to change to? Is he going to change to the mediums? He is, so feeling that the softs ain't going to make it. It's looking like it's just going to be Lattice and Keza that are going to stick out on the soft tyres here.
Bit weird with that for Scopefielder. I wonder if maybe his original strategy was to go onto the soft for his second stint, and maybe he just didn't change it in time when he came into the pits to the mediums.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I think he's only lost 1 or 2 spaces there, 1 or 2 places, so he comes out ahead of Ryan anyway, so not a huge disaster. And obviously if he's now on his preferred tyres, interestingly, Ivan in all this has actually stayed out. He's on 7.5 old medium tyres. Yeah, feeling obviously it wasn't worth the pit stop. I mean, he probably still could have come out in 7th, I reckon, now that Scopefielder's gone in, but I feel that's like a hindsight thing, really. He wouldn't have really known that Scopefielder was maybe going to do that and wasn't prepared for it. So, yeah, we'll be interested to see whether or not he fancies actually maybe trying to come in and get out ahead of Scopefielder still. And no, he doesn't. So,
to be honest, I was going to say that with the leaders now up with the safety car, I doubt there would have been a delta with Ivan. So I thought if he was going to try and come in and beat Scopefielder out, he would have been pushing quite hard, because he wouldn't need the tyres anymore, and he didn't look like he was pushing. So Ivan going for track position over new tyres, which we've seen in the past, doesn't always work with this number of laps left. If it was only a couple of laps left, you'd probably try and say, yeah, actually, he's got a good chance here. But with what is probably going to be 11, 12 laps remaining, could be a small mistake there from Ivan.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, we've seen it before where people have got slightly, not even massively older tyres, but slightly older tyres have kind of been eaten alive on circuit by the guys on the fresh ones. So, yeah, it'd be interesting if he can hold on to 6th place. I'd be surprised if he manages to progress any further up than that, based on what he's got underneath him. But, yeah, I mean, you never know with motorsport. Funny things can happen. We've already seen some surprises tonight. More surprising, really, for me, that Lattice has obviously got away only really with a broken wing, and obviously Young Sav's retired, but that was a hell of an impact he had into the wall, and how he got away with no wheels detaching is beyond me.
Yeah, I do wonder, I mean, with that hit, whether I was going to say a quick epileptic warning, because the safety car light on my screen is flashing like crazy.
Safety car disco.
It is, yeah. It's just like looking at the safety car lights, really, isn't it? But yeah,
immersive.
Right there in with everyone. But yeah, I do wonder if Young Sav had maybe some underbody damage. As we get going again, green flag flies. And we go racing once again onto lap 22. Merck gets a good jump, 7/10 to the good of Louis, and here comes JP. Looking to make this a Mercedes 1-2. Isn't going to try it this time around. Meanwhile, Ryan down the inside of Scopefielder, side by side. Scopefielder just about hanging on, but here comes Ryan down the inside of turn 3. This should be a done deal, really. But Scopefielder keeps it pinned. Down towards turn 4, and the outside line's been a good one. Oh, Ryan, collision, and Keza's in there as well. Not ideal, and it looked like as Lattis trying to go past JP, it just looked like Ryan had a couple bites of the cherry going in, clipped the curb, and it just unsettled the car enough to wiggle its way into Scopefielder, and Keza, unfortunately, the next man on the scene.
Yeah, unfortunately, Keza once again involved in someone else's incident. Ryan, yeah, he's got quite a lot of damage to the front of his car. Keza has a small bit of damage. JP has dropped a couple of places there. Yeah,
he's dropped a place to Lattice, place to Got Spooked. So he's struggling with warm-up by the looks of it on those medium tyres. DRS now enabled. Obviously not down this main straight because the detection is before the start-finish line. As is the actual activation, as JL Lattice down the inside doesn't need DRS. He's cracking on, and I feel that could be Ryan out of the race. Yes, it is. Once again, another driver deciding not to pick up points.
Yeah, shame that for Ryan. Obviously, he had the opportunity to get back into it. It seems quite natural now. Just watching in front.
Sorry, Bruce. Spooked now looking to the outside of Louis into turn 5. A little bit of collision, rear wheel to front wheel, and Spooked sort of shown a little bit that he's not really wanted by Louis, but he just cracked on around the outside towards through 6 into 7 and 8, and he goes through. Now it's JP's turn to be on the back of the Ferrari. Will he look for a move here? He has a little look just to say, I'm still here. But no lunge made into turn 10.
Yeah, Lattis now catching Merckx. Obviously, he's on those soft tyres compared to Merckx mediums. Not going to have DRS here, but I feel that by the next DRS detection in the second sector, I think he's going to potentially have that DRS who sets the fastest lap of a 14.0. So, yeah, he's pushing on now, this Haas. He needs to make this count before these tyres start to cry a little bit. And yeah, I think we could see a battle at the front here.
Quite impressive as Sydney goes past Ivan into turn 1 around the outside. It's quite impressive from that. That's about 1.5 seconds off of the pole time tonight. So he really is pushing those tyres on a bit to get into the DRS of Merckx. I'll tell you what, Got Spooked hasn't exactly driven away from Louis, has he? I think Got Spooked may have made a small mistake somewhere, because I'm pretty certain he was around 7-8 tenths. Louis now around half a second, and Lattis in the DRS range of Merckx.
Yeah, so this is going to be where he needs to make count. The flat is open, and yeah, it takes maybe, well, it doesn't really take much out of Merckx on that bit, but enough to drag him close enough that he's definitely going to have DRS on the main straight, and this is where it's going to count now. Catch up to the back of Merckx and try and get the move done on the next lap, perhaps, and try and drive away as much as he can, but it's not going to be easy with the DRS.
No, DRS a 13.7 for the Haas. He really is flying. I do wonder how much he's burning that ERS candle as well. Louis looks to the inside of Got Spooked. Nothing doing there. JP has Sydney behind him. JP, he just hasn't looked fully comfortable tonight in that car. It just looks like he's struggling a little bit with it. Primarily with the back end just being a little bit squirrely.
Yeah, definitely. We saw it on lap 1 with the hard tyres. But, you know, he's still on for a solid result here, 5th at the moment. Sydney obviously chasing him, but with that 3-second penalty. So, it'd be a good result still from the Mercedes team if they finished, you know, 1-5 or even 2-5. So I think that's still quite a good haul of points for the team. And I'm sure JP will be happy with this. Anyway, even though the podium is literally in sight at the moment.
That first place certainly under threat now as Lattis 4 tenths behind the Mercedes. He's lining this one up. He knows this has to be done and it has to be done quickly because he will take a lot of time out of Merc through that first sector. So this has to be done this lap, you feel, to be able to start building that gap. And here he goes to the inside, to the front. Now the game is set. Drive away as fast as you can and hope you can break that DRS.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be difficult. It's 100% going to be difficult because there's only a few corners realistically until you get to that next DRS zone. And yeah, he's struggling really to drive away from Merc.
It's going to be out of those sort of traction zone areas that he's going to make up the time. This corner's a good one for it. Although it looked like he didn't quite scare the apex through 7. Merc in DRS for this small little straight. And these two corners are quite vital here for Lattis because these are the lowest grip corners on the circuit where the softs should be the most powerful. And you can see there he pulled about a tenth and a bit just through 10 alone. But half a second, or just under, means Merc will claim DRS once again. And we have a race in our hands, even though JL Lattis sets another fastest lap of the race. Here comes the Mercedes. Lattis goes to defend. Gives Merc the racing line. Louis in the background. He's going to go through on Got Spooked. He's in the podium places. Sydney further in the background gets past JP with DRS. So 3 moves made into turn 1 and Merc back at the front. And as we were saying, it's one thing to catch and pass Merc, it's another to drive away.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, the problem with this circuit, I think, as well for Lattis perhaps, is, as you say, those 2 main corners where the traction's most important are kind of just after a DRS zone. So the opportunity for the car behind to follow and keep up with you up to those 2 corners, and you can't pull a second out between now and the next detection point. So very, very difficult to break that 1 second barrier without a mistake from the following competitor.
You feel maybe Lattis's best bet here is to try and look after those soft tyres, follow Merc around, maybe take the lead every now and again, see what works best, and maybe make a move on that final lap, because you can defend most of the circuit here fairly comfortably. It's just this main straight with the DRS, as here comes Lattis once again to the inside. Got Spooked in the background. He'll go past Louis. Got very close between the Haas and the Mercedes, but is all clean, all fair game. JP also picks up 5th place. So a complete role reversal of about 2 laps ago.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if on the next lap the same 3 moves get done again, to be honest. As I say, I think they're sort of stuck in all three battles here at the moment. Very much it's a DRS battle. If you stick close enough throughout the lap, you're going to get them on the main straight. And as you say, it could just be a tactics thing now as to when you make that move. A small slope Got Spooked there, though, out of the bottom of the hill, but Louis still on the back.
Oh, that's interesting. Merc looking down the inside of turn 10. I wasn't expecting that from the Mercedes. Looking to turn 10. And he's going to stick with Lattis. Lattis dealing with the pressure very well through this last sector, but as we know, this is going to be a pretty easy move for the Mercedes, and Lattis needs to make sure he looks after those tyres so he's got something left at the end of this race.
Yeah, perhaps the closest now of Merc shows that maybe Lattis' tyres are starting to go off a little bit now. I mean, they are 10 laps old, and we were saying, weren't we, maybe 11, 12 laps, you wouldn't really want to take them any further than that. Admittedly, a couple of those laps are in the safety car, but yeah, we're interested to see now if Lattis can keep with him to the next DRS zone, and I think he'll be okay. He'll be able to keep up with him for the next overtake on the next lap.
This is the biggest problem with running those mediums longer than everyone else. We did say if the safety car came, it would be an awkward situation, and he's unfortunately found himself in that place. And it was a wise idea for him to not go with the hards, because we know how bad those tyres are. So it's absolutely the right move to go to the soft. It's just unfortunate he kind of got forced, partly in reality his own off kind of semi-caused the whole issue he's got now, because without that broken front wing, young Saf probably wouldn't have looked for a move into the penultimate corner, and we'd have probably stayed green most of this race.
Yeah, it's funny how these things pan out, isn't it, actually? As, yeah, here comes Lattice on Mercs, up to turn 1, and move sort of done. Merc has to cut across the inside of 2. I think that's all fair, to be honest. I think Lattice had that move done, and I think it was because it was so late into the corner, it just caught Merc out slightly there, but Merc, I don't think, will be too phased by that. And yeah, it looks like Lattice starting to have a few slides at the back end of the car now.
Yeah, Louis in the background making a move on Gotspook, because that's a really good battle for the final podium spot. It's also still got that battle for 5th between JP and Sydney, but we are focusing on the battle for the lead because it is tyre differential. And the two fastest guys in on the circuit tonight. Here comes Merc. Pokes his nose out, keeps Lattice's mirror's field of silver. Just ensuring the Haas man knows one small mistake and Merc's going through.
Yeah, I feel it's a distraction technique that Merc's employing a little bit there on that DRS in the second sector, just to distract Lattice, try and put him off his rhythm a little bit. But yeah, here we go. Merc's now up the inside into turn 1 and 2 again.
Gotspook up into 3rd. And Sydney was almost out of DRS range of JP then, but luckily had the DRS, so he's closed back in. Scopefielder has gone past Ivan, so we've now got a quartet of 2-car DRS trains going on, if that's even a thing anymore. But Merc still continues to lead the way in the Mercedes, but this has got to be probably one of the hardest races he's had to date, because this has not been all his way.
Yeah, definitely. Lattice has pushed him massively in this race. It's great to see another name at the top having a good fight, but Merc is still showing why he's been the main man for quite some time now in Tier 1. And yeah, this is all tactics now, isn't it? Really is going to be tricky to know what to do. I mean, Lattice could go past him now, but then he's going to be... Oh, I think Scopefielder's spun it. Yeah, and Ivan's got back past him.
Yeah, at the usual turn 10 for Scopefielder.
So Lattice neglects to make the move into turn 1, and I feel that's tactical now, knowing that the next time through on that DRS straight is going to be the last time on that DRS straight. And yeah, I think he's going to save this up for an attack on the next lap.
And you feel Louis has done the same with Got Spooked as well. But we have also seen Merc looking up the inside at turn 10. So Merc knows he can. I think Merc knows he can still get past Lattice up towards 10. So Lattice is going to still have to be cautious down towards his corner on the last lap if he can get the move done on the main straight.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to feel right now that Merc definitely has the tyre advantage. It realistically is just the DRS that's keeping Lattice in with a shout here, and it's going to be interesting. Is he going to be close enough? We know what Merc is like with ERS, say like usage as well. He's quite a long way back, is Lattice.
That DRS is very powerful, and here comes the Haas. Is he close enough? Goes to the outside. Gets the move done from a long, long way back. The Haas, that's a great effort. Louis, side by side with Got Spooked. And has to give up that place because he ran wide and completed the move off track. So that's not ideal for Louis. That might scupper his chances at a podium. Right. But Merc, side by side with Lattice, through 4. Up towards 5. And Merc's going to have the line, but Lattice looking to sweep round the outside. Are they going to go side by side through 6? Yes, up towards 7. Merc backs out, knowing there's a DRS zone coming up. Lattice is going to have to burn a lot of energy here if he's going to stop this Mercedes. It's really close through 9. Merc almost pushing the Haas. Down towards 10 we go. And Merc's going to get the move done, is he? Lattice keeps it down the inside. Has he got the grip, though, to get it up and going? No, he hasn't. We've got 2 corners left after this one, and you feel they're not going to be overtaking opportunities. I think Merc's just done enough. Through the penultimate corner we go. into the final corner. Lattis nowhere near to attack, and it will be Merck who hangs on for yet another victory in Tier 1. GR Lattis, a great fight on a different tyre to finish second. Got Spooked hangs on to third. Louis fourth, a great race by him. JP911 secures a top 5 place with Sydney in sixth. Ivan Belov, after the issues he's faced this race, he's going to be in seventh. Scope Fielder, again, he's had his own troubles, but he's going to come through for 8th place. And you have to say, spirit of the race, you got to give it to Keza. He's carried on. He might be carrying damage for all we know after that incident with Gattuso. But he's carried on. He's going to claim 9th, and he's going to get some points, which is fantastic to see. See him carry on to claim these points.
Yeah, definitely fair play to Keza for continuing. He had been caught up in some incidents that were no fault of his own at all tonight. But yeah, fair play to him. Continues on and scores a healthy 4 points, I believe that would be.
Yes, yeah, 4 points for Keza. Louis driver of the day. I'm not surprised he went up 4 places in today's race. Almost had that podium. But Lattis, I mean, you got to say, what a drive from him after almost being forced into a strategy which we knew was going to be difficult to pull off in that second part of the race after the safety car. He done very well to challenge Merck. He just didn't quite have enough through 7, 8 and 9 to repel the attack up towards 10 after the DRS.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good effort. You know, he was rather saved a little bit with that safety car. But yeah, a fantastic effort from the Haas driver. But yeah, Merck, yeah, showing, as I said, why he's getting the results week in, week out. Even with all that pressure, he held his nerve and took an excellent win.
So yeah, Bruce, would you like to take us through the provisional race results?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, converting his pole position to a race win is Merck in the Mercedes, with JR Lattis also converting his front row to a second place. Got Spook third with Louis an excellent fourth. JP fifth with Sydney sixth, Ivan seventh, Scopefielder eighth, Keza ninth, and DNFs tonight were Ryan, Youngsav, and Gattuso.
So we'll just see if we can get a couple of the drivers in. So hopefully we'll get Merckx and JR Lattis in. We'll try and get a we'll try and get right up from Got Spooked. And we have JR Lattis in. Hopefully we'll get Mercked in as well. Obviously, just a reminder for JR Lattis, make sure your settings allow your voice to be shared, so the wonderful people watching the stream can hear you. But I tell you, whilst we're waiting for Mercked, we'll carry on, and hopefully Mercked will join or give us a write-up. I don't know whether he might be writing up because he's doing a lot of typing for it. But JR Lattis, we'll carry on with your interview. Congratulations, second place on the debut for this season. But it wasn't without its issues. It was a bit of an interesting few laps for you. What actually happened through turn 3 there? Because all we knew was you were off in the gravel with wing damage.
Rubbish handling model, mate. Sort of got to say. Just the rear stepped out of literally nowhere, and yeah, the way that this game is, it's like a pendulum. As soon as the rear goes, that's it. You're gone. unfortunate, really, because without that mistake, the incident that led to the safety car wouldn't have happened, and I feel like the hards are an absolutely awful tyre on this game. So it would have been, I think, it would have been quite a comfortable victory. But yeah, and then I mean the rest of the lap was just trying to hang on, get round as quick as possible. Then coming through the final sector, just holding my line, as I've said, just trying to go as quick as possible. We'll get back to the pits, and then coming through the penultimate corner, I'm hugging the inside, obviously, to go into the pits, and then someone's just dived it up my inside, and I mean, with wing damage, there's literally nothing I could do. I could barely hold on to the car as it was myself. Yeah, and I brought the safety car out and nullified any advantage I would have got from the softs, and then yeah, I mean, it was a great battle at the end. Disappointed that I couldn't win, but yeah, that was it for me, really.
Yeah. So obviously the plan then always to go to the soft tyre. I mean, what was your sort of initial lap that you wanted to go to on those mediums? Because me and Bruce both felt that obviously because you had your incident, it was probably maybe three to four laps earlier than you would have wanted to.
So it was lap 19 that I wanted to pit, so it was only actually 2 laps earlier, and obviously the safety car helped anyway. So by the time we restarted, I think it was lap 20. So I probably gained a lap on the tyres I had anyway. But then obviously everyone else is on mediums, which is by far the better race tyre for that kind of distance. So yeah, without the safety car, I'm fairly confident that the soft tyres would have had such a big advantage on the hards at the beginning that they wouldn't have been able to come back at the end. I mean, I was competing with Malc, who was on probably still some decent mediums on that last lap. So if the safety car didn't come out, yeah, then the gap between the softs and the hards would have been ridiculous, and I like to think I would have cruised to a win, but yeah.
Bruce, you have any questions for Lattis?
Yeah, well done on the podium, mate. Obviously, Merck's been sort of not necessarily having it his own way the last sort of couple of seasons, but he's been pretty consistently at the top. Do you feel this circuit's just a good circuit for you, or do you think this is the sort of pace you can carry on throughout the rest of the season at the other circuits we've got coming up?
Nah, this is an awful circuit for me. I've never been comfortable on this track, even on last year's game, which I preferred a million times more than this, and I'd still much rather play that game. This has never been a brilliant track for me. So the fact that I actually felt the most comfortable I have so far on the game. I mean, this is only actually my second league race on this game. I barely played it all just because I don't particularly enjoy it, but I'm trying to get back into it, kind of thing. I'm pleased with how comfortable I felt and the setup that I managed to have to be able to get that comfort, because it wasn't optimal, I'd say, but it was good enough. But the fact that I've been able to be in the fight for the win, I'm more than pleased. I was obviously disappointed to come second in the end, but for my second league race, yeah, I can't really complain.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic to hear that. Obviously, Spain's not a good track for you, because it means we should see some fantastic battles in you and Merckx, which would be obviously not only good for you to participate in, but for us to watch. Especially seeing Merckx under so much pressure, it's going to make the racing, I feel, very enjoyable to watch for the rest of the season. So, congratulations for tonight, Glasses. We hope to see you next week and hopefully another battle with you and Merckx.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Thank you very much, guys.
And speaking of Merckx, we do have a small write-up from him. He unfortunately not able to join us for interviews. He said his race went well, had some good pace. Luckily, his safety car didn't affect his race too much, and had some good battles with Lattis. Nicely better attendance. He looks forward to next week. And Bruce, as we're saying with Lattis, obviously, if this is an awful track for him, I can't wait to see what he does at the rest of the circuits on circuits that he does enjoy.
Yeah, interesting comment, really. So some people like this place, some people don't. It'd be interesting to see, we'll never know really whether Merckx really likes it around this circuit as well, because if he doesn't, and he feels other circuits are better for him, then it could be even Stevens going forwards as well. So, yeah, it could potentially be quite exciting going forwards for the rest of the season. And yeah, I look forward to many more Latus and Merc battles on the track.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And next week we have the first of 2 sprint evenings at Austria. And I believe a few details still to come out about those regarding the format of those, because obviously the sprint format for F1 and the sprint format in the game has changed. So we could end up having a 2 one-shot qualifyings prior to obviously each of the races, as per the current sprint format in real life. So it's going to make those evenings quite interesting. Obviously, one-shot qualifying, the grid could be anything, and I mean, we've seen in the past top drivers invalidating their laps and having to fight their way through the field.
Yeah, and especially on a short circuit like Austria as well. I think you're going to find that the lap times are going to be insanely close. So one slight error in one-shot qualifying is going to really hamper you, grid position-wise. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. It adds a slightly different dynamic to getting your traditional 2 or 3 runs, and yeah, could mix it up a little bit.
Absolutely, but that is all we have time for tonight. So for everyone who is watching tonight, thank you for joining us for this Tier 1. Backhouse GT, hello to you. Yes, you are slightly late to the party. The race has finished. This is the top tier of IRL for equal performance, so the fastest guys in the league. But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Obviously, RPR racing tomorrow, not streamed, but we are back next week for Austria and the sprint evenings. On the Tuesday, we have Tier 2 brought to you by Joe Hamster and JP911. Myself and Bruce will be back on Wednesday to bring you more Tier 1 action, and hopefully it's slightly less incident-packed than tonight, but with a lot more overtaking to go, especially with this impending battle between Merc and Latus, which could rage on all season. But from us, thank you all for watching tonight. Have a good rest of your week.